welcome everyone, and it's very strange as a diplomat to be standing here from the Netherlands Embassy, but that it explains that Jana and Kadir a year and a half ago actually thought about this workshop and bringing all of you together from these different countries, and now you will be ambassadors, not only ambassadors for your country, but more importantly, climate ambassadors. You will be telling the story of climate change in your own region, and Kadir and Esther and Jana will be the coaches, trainers to help you do it. For us, it's really excited. My colleagues there, Michaela and Lenka, worked hard for you to be here. It was a passion to get this off the ground, and in June we will be seeing your work here, and already I'm very excited and thinking how we can make sure that you get all the publicity needed, not only here but in your countries. So before you start, a very warm welcome. We're very excited to see all of you live after this whole process of you being selected, of this dream coming true. And now over to Kadir.
Yes, well, thank you very much, first of all, because without the Dutch embassy here in Bratislava and the other embassies in Warsaw, Prague, and Budapest, and obviously in Warsaw and SLOVAK PRESS PHOTO, this would have never happened. It was a long preparation, but I'm really glad that we are all here, and we met most of you yesterday. Seem to be nice people. And I'm sure you're very good photographers, and the outcome will be great. And it's also, I'm one of the founders of NOR, as you probably know, and it's the second training we actually do, which is dedicated to how to visualize climate stories. So we are very happy that Esther is a co-tutor of mine, and as you probably know, she's very good storyteller, very good photographer, and very experienced, especially in the Arctic regions, so very tough conditions. So we hope we can really bring something to you, and that there will be a great result, because we believe that these stories need to be told, and as you all maybe saw the outcome of the COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh, there's still some work to do to make people realize what the issue is.
I also would like to say some words. Thank you very much for the embassy and for SLOVAK PRESS PHOTO that we can be here together, and I think it's a very special workshop because we focus on a very important topic, which is a burning topic in our time. And not only because of that, but also I think it's always very beautiful to come together as professionals and share the same passions, share the same care, and share the same love for something together, and that's together we can create something very meaningful. And also I think maybe some friendship will build here, or collaborations, which I always find very important. So thank you very much that I can be here also, that then as Kadir sent me an email if I would be interested to do it, I felt like, yes, absolutely. I was born in Hungary, and so that's why it's also something very special for me to be here. So thank you very much.
Na záver ja budem hovoriť po slovensky, potom už stále po anglicky, ale musím, lebo tu máme aj Slovákov, takže podľa protokolu. Na začiatok sa chcem úplne najviac poďakovať holandskej ambasáde za to, že dala grant na tento workshop, si myslím. Ďakujem Henriette van Lohuizen, ktorá je deputy šéf na holandskej ambasáde za aktivitu. Musím sa veľmi poďakovať, bez dievčat ako je Lenka a Michalka, ktoré sú vzadu, by nikdy v živote sme tu nestáli a ani by sa nedal grant. Chcem sa veľmi pekne poďakovať Kadirovi a Esther, že prišli. Všetkých vás tu vítam, ste prvýkrát SLOVAK PRESS PHOTO a dúfam, že vznikne z toho výborný projekt a budeme sa posúvať ďalej a nájdeme ešte mnoho ďalších šancí, aby sme splnili podmienky grantu. Pre mňa je dôležité, že tu všetci sedíte a čokoľvek potrebujete, treba prísť za mnou. Ja sa chcem poďakovať aj svojim kolegom, Lenke, ktorá nám bude tlmočiť, čokoľvek potrebujete. Dúfam, že ste spokojní s jedlom, so všetkým. Aj obedy budete mať vegetariánske, myslím si, že všetko má zapadať ako má. Takže čokoľvek potrebujete, stačí sa obrátiť na nás a teším sa z toho a dúfam, že budete mať krásnu prácu. A ešte raz ďakujem mentorom.
Especially if we talk about the climate crisis, it's sometimes difficult to visualize because you have to show something which is still coming and not yet visible yet per se, and it's still unfortunately a controversial subject where there are still people who think that this is not true.
I do many workshops and always in environmental photography or science photography, and I always say, and I also feel the same way here, that we are here together, and Kadir and me are here to share everything with you, all the experiences and everything what we have and what we collected through our path, and that's our main goal.
This is something that we have been looking forward really to witness and to be present at from our embassy for a long time. So it's really great that now today you are also all here this week. You have already all been here from different places, from different perspectives. We understood just in the 5 minutes that Kadir and Esther and us have been talking that you've had very engaged discussions and have been working really hard on presenting the project, which I'm of course very curious to hear and see, and even more so to see what the results will be in later on next year, when hopefully we will see the concrete results of your hard work and of your training right now. So that in a nutshell, again, thank you all for coming. Thank you for participating with a lot of enthusiasm and eagerness. Again, for us as a Dutch embassy here and as an embassy that's cooperating with 3 other embassies in this region, very important that you focus on this region and focus on creating more awareness on climate change in this region, in Europe and in the world. So that's what we try to do as an embassy every day, but I think that you are a very important people who can make visual what we all know and what we don't have to be convinced of, but a lot of other people have to be convinced of. Thank you for that. Thank you for coming here, because without you there would be no workshop and no good and positive atmosphere. Thank you also to Jana for organizing and facilitating. I have been told that everything was really organized well this whole week, and including the venue here, but also the other collateral issues, which are not unimportant, like sleeping and eating and getting to know each other as well. So thank you also to Jana, and thank you to your team in The Hague, or in Amsterdam, sorry, in Amsterdam. So having said that, I will sit, I will listen.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, obviously, we would like to thank you, because without the Dutch Embassy and without Slovak Press Photo, this also would not have happened.
Thanks goes more to Michana and to Lenka, who is not here.
Yeah.
And then to me, I get to do the talk, but they actually were the ones.
It's always the... Thank you, Mika.
Thank you.
But no,
Let's do it.
I mean, it's special that we were able to do this. I mean, it's quite unique to have not only a program which is over a longer period of time, because after this there will be a whole mentoring period, which in the end will result in hopefully a great exhibition. But moreover, it's really special, and it doesn't exist, as far as we know, that it's dedicated to visualizing climate stories.
I also would like to say some words. Thank you, Kadir, for inviting me for this workshop. And I already said it, but I would like to repeat that an academia from Kadir telling me to join this workshop, asking me if I would be interested to join this workshop. I felt honored to work with Kadir, whose work I admire so much, and also to be a part of such an important workshop. Visualizing climate crisis, which is one of the hottest topics on the planet right now. And as Kadir said, this is a very unique opportunity. It's a very unique group now. Not only that we can work together, we can network and learn from each other and develop, but also we have a chance, 14 of us, or even with the partners, to talk about this important issue. And I think that's something also very important, that we can use also the workshop itself to talk about climate crisis. So I'm very happy that I could be here in this 4 days of very intense workshop. I hope you are all exhausted. We are all exhausted. Like we said in the video call, that if we're gonna be exhausted, that's already a good sign. I hope you are exhausted too, so that's another good sign. And now another journey will start together, that you work on your story, we will support you with everything what we can, and a very important work will come out. And I think I'm repeating myself again, that I think you don't know yet how important this exhibition will be and how much opportunity there is, that we all together, 14 of us with the partners, can talk about a climate crisis together, and that can be something very powerful in the regions, but also like growing out of the region. So I'm super happy to be here. I'm super happy that I could be a part of it, and I would do a workshop with Kadir anytime again.
Ja sa chcem veľmi poďakovať za podporu holandskej ambasády, lebo tento workshop by nikdy bez nich nebol. Tým, že Holanďania sú takí, akí sú, tak si myslím, že je to veľká výzva pre nás všetkých. Ja sa musím poďakovať Gabriele veľmi, Michalke, Lenke, Kadirovi a Esther za workshop a všetkým vám. A je na nás, ako tú výstavu a všetko pripravíme, lebo je to spoločná práca. A mali by sme sa spoločne vychádzať, aby ten svet plynul, aby sme, tak ako je klimatická kríza, aby sme všetko prekonali, aby to bol dobrý, krásny projekt na výstave.
So good evening everyone, my name is Martin Kalle, I'm a press photographer from Hungary. I have been a staff photographer for over 15 years now. Magazine published in the countryside. When applying to this project, I was going back to the roots where I came from, because after graduating in high school I was studying meteorology. So I realized, spending all these years with work in Hungary, that there is a lot of ignorance about climate change. Even if we speak about decision makers, companies, or just everyday people. So that's why I started to make a story about how important the scientific background is behind measuring and documenting our climate. So I started this story about 2 years ago. And this third part of my presentation is about its historic background and its scientific background, how it happened. And I really love the devotion of the people who chose this way of science to try to understand our weather and the climate. So after a while, I kind of realized that the climate changing part and the weather forecasting part is divided. It's not very much linked together. One side is only collecting data, and another side is trying to create something which is valid for the future, and trying to express some usable knowledge. So I tried to emphasize that if we take responsible thinking about our environment, then we all can do something against for the climate, to stop climate change, to make it a little bit, to slow it down. So this part of the job is, this body of work is still the scientific part, until we reach this image where this lady is a civilian, but she has been measuring temperature and rainfall and all this stuff in her own garden for over 60 years now. So I really I was trying to find the missing link between the scientists and the everyday people, trying to raise awareness that it is happening not just outside in the world somewhere where we don't see it, and when we don't suffer for it, then we see it from everywhere. It is our surroundings. So this is the beginning of part two. Just a very short story. This is a festival, and this is the coldest place in Hungary. It should have been full of snow because it is a festival of cold, and it was like seriously positive temperatures and imported snow just for the event. So I try to reflect on those issues, including nowadays energy crisis, and are not necessarily good answer for it of deforestation and exploiting our environment. And I try to link images and probably show on the upcoming exhibition that there is that this is really not only a scientific thing, it is really in daily life. I will work on some scientists who are really into the climate issue now. So that is the missing part that you cannot see in my story so far, but that's what I'm going to work on in the next 3 months. So those who are really just into the climate change and how they can measure it, how they can predict what is going to happen. So hopefully that will be on show next summer in Bratislava. Thank you for the attention.
So this is Inga. We would like to thank her because she was one of the participants who was hoping to work in Spain, and she has been great in accepting that she can do her story in the feed form. So
I hope to start it in next weeks after the workshop, and I will say a little bit about it during that presentation. So my name is Kinga Wrona, I'm from Poland, I'm freelancer photographer, currently studying at the Institute of Creative Photography in Czech Republic, in Opava. And as I'm a photographer interested in environmental topics, and I would like to briefly show you the 2 projects I did in 2022, just to visualize how I see and how I photograph. One of them was showing the volcano eruption on La Palma in Spain, and that in that subjective way I would like to show how the element, the volcano, entered to the people's life and show their helpless in front of the element. Another project is a project about the changes in the Atlantic Ocean in the north of Spain due to increasing temperatures. The oxygen and the level of salinity is going down, which is causing the decrease in the production of shellfish, seafood, which is one of the main products they eat there. It's very traditional one. Right now, my idea is to work during next month on the topic connected with the snow cover, which I would like you to answer the question to yourself: is it the end of the snow? If our grandchildren will know the snow only from the movies from Netflix or Disney, and if really snow is important for us. The facts and figures about the Poland are that in January 2020 we had really big increase of the winter temperature in the Suwałki, which was always the coldest city in Poland. The temperature was more than 5 degrees than average. In another cities like Zakopane, Ustka, also around 2 and around almost 5 degrees more than average. There was also a bigger decrease of snow cover, which was in the 90s, like around from 2 to 12 centimeters, now is from 1 to 9 centimeters. Why we need a snow cover? The hydrological situation. If the snow is melting very early in spring and in summer, we don't have water in the ground, so the ground is potentially there is an increase in the summer droughts. Also agriculture, we have a worsening condition of winter crops, and the tourism, the winter tourism, which is less winter days means less tourism, bigger costs of the ski lifts maintenance. This is the example of the fire on one of the most important national park in Poland, Dolina Biebrzy, which by the researcher was caused by the lack of snow cover and really dry ground in a summer in that area. What will be my execution of the project, my idea, how to visualize it, is it will be that the situation at ski centers. I live close because I'm from south of Poland, so I think I'm a good person for visualizing that topic. And it will be area of the south of Poland, Zieleniecki, Czarna Góra resort, to visualize fake snow machines, because fake snow machines need a lot of water and a lot of energy, which nowadays is also getting costs bigger and bigger. Owners of the ski resorts struggling with the problem, but also visiting farmers around the Krakow in the Węgrzce. There is a farmers associations which are struggling with the problem of winter crops. I would plan to make a city landscapes, winter rains instead of snow rains, mainly rains around the Krakow. And thank you very much, and see you in June.
Hello, my name is Jana Hantrova and I'm coming from Czech Republic. I'm a documentary photographer and I'm focusing on the social and environmental issues. In this term, I choose, because some people already started work on this project, but I just choose this term yesterday, so I don't have so much photos about it, but I will work on it in next few months. So I choose energy crisis in Czech Republic because I think it's very contemporary issues for us. And the war, conflict, and COVID before deepened the economic and energetic crisis. The price went very up, and people and householders and families have some problems economically. So Czech government, I think it's not just Czech, I heard that it's in other countries in Europe, they postponed date when there was to stop using the old boilers for the heating. So in Czech was for 2 years because they supposed to have it in 1st of September 2022. So they postponed it 2 years. So people in Czech Republic started use the coal and wood again. So it's not good for the climate, of course. And because I And wood, it's because it's not so much wood now, so it's wet because you need 2 years to be dry. So people using it from forest or buy it very where is possible. So it's some similar like coal. In my project, I would like, because I live in Liberec area around mountains, and I live in the village too. So I choose that I will found some families who started use coal and wood again. Maybe some companies, and I will follow them how they take it from wood and use it. And I would like to do some short video about it, because I don't have so much photos yet, so I would like just show you my contemporary work. Yeah, sorry. One is because I would like, I will work in this style, my photography. So this is from Amazonia, where I follow people living around the river, how is important river for them, for their everyday life. And another project is from Demir Hisar in North Macedonia, when I'm going very, very often to small villages around Demir Hisar. And this is a social problem that it's not work there, so people, young people going from the villages, and it's some villages when it's just one person living, you know, so it's another problem. So, yes, thank you very much for everything, for listening to me.
Hello. So my name is Ildiko Peter. I'm from Hungary, Budapest, and I'm a visual artist, a photographer, and also a climber and a trail runner. So I spend a lot of time outside. And I graduated at MOME back in Budapest in 2007, so I've been an artist since the past 15 years. My most recent big project, which was not yet published, is called The Land of Promise, and here I depict different aspects of our consumption society, also including mining and wastelands. So this is the main project from where I start. I work on color negative with a medium format camera, so still using analog photography. So this is a work that was uniquely done in Hungary in the past 5 years. Including lignite mines, etc. I'm just flipping through, and here I'm switching to another project. These are 2 past projects. I just want to show you quickly. One is Fauna and Flora from 2019, and the other one is Landscapes from 2020, where I am already working on the theme of forests and landscapes. These both were funded by the Hungarian National Fund. This is a relationship between animals, I mean the mammals living in these areas, which can be endangered by disappearing forests and the climate change. And also landscapes that, so this is the other series, landscapes that show different environments altered by man, which is also, so these are my previous works. And this is a glacier. So my proposal for the upcoming exhibition is well, the working title is Disappearing Forests, and Hungary has a forest coverage of around 22%, while Slovakia is much bigger in forest coverage, around 40%. And what, I mean, it's very important for me because I spend a lot of time outside as a trail runner, and also spend quite a few months per year living outside in my car in these areas. So I do spend a lot of time in these places, and so there are like 2 aspects of disappearing forests. One is the natural, the artificial one, which is of course caused by man cutting forests, and it's very, very few parts of Hungary are natural forests and not planted ones. And compared to, Slovakia has areas which are primal forests. So there's a comparison between the two countries, and there's also a natural infection of beetles, which are due to the rising temperatures. So pine forests are especially affected by this, but apart from pine, oak is also very, very sensitive. So this would be the work I would like to develop in the next few months, and yeah, this would be my series.
Yeah, very interesting. I'm intrigued by you live in your car.
Yeah.
Regular car or
Just a normal combi. Yeah.
And close to forests or close to
Yeah.
areas?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you're really
During the up until like 5 degrees or 0 degrees, I'm fine. Yeah. After that, it becomes a problem with the water freezing and everything else.
yeah. And yourself freezing yourself.
I mean, if you really want to know the details, I have a really warm duvet and all that. So I sleep with my hat on and stuff like that. So you can keep yourself warm in a car because it's quite like a small space. But yeah, but I prefer the summer month. To be honest, yes.
Interesting, yeah. Very interesting project.
Thank you.
And it's great that it will be two continents,
Yeah.
going to continents.
Yeah, because I move a lot to Slovakia as well. That was a question they were asking, like why? And yeah, I spend a lot of time in the mountains. So Hungary has smaller mountains. The highest is 1,000 meters. So yeah, it's two different areas. Thank you.
Hello, I will switch for a moment from the camera here. Hello everybody, I'm Tomáš Hrivňák. I am going to be working on a project covering the paved areas of the city and how they affect the city's preparation for the climate change, basically. I'm working as a staff photographer and journalist for the Deník N, newspaper that we have here in Bratislava. It's covering the whole country. I have a couple awards for my photography and my writing, and the skills I would like to use to cover this problem, which is we have a lot of surfaces that don't let the water sink into the soil. So, for example, in the summer, we had really big drought here, and my neighbor's well was drying out, and we all were facing pretty big troubles because of that. But at the same time, when the rain came, the whole parking lot's worth of rainwater were basically thrown away into the drains, and we couldn't use them. I think this is a big problem in Bratislava because the banks of the Danube are being paved more and more. For the people who live here, it's like the River Park area or the port area. As you can see here, the new tower building. The problem by the paved is that they contribute to heating of the city, and the more the area is paved, the less water we get into the soil and into good use. So basically, we use it runs off or evaporates very fast, and due to that, Bratislava can be more than 2 degrees warmer than its surroundings. I would like to use my photography to explain why this is a problem and how it affects the life of the city. I would also like to use my writing to write an accompanying text to my project. I am working in Bratislava, and I'm covering the public space and what it means to the citizens of the city a lot. So I think I am on the ground anyways, so I might as well do cover the climate problems that we have here. I would like to not cover only the problematic parts, but I want to also show the solutions to the problem, how we can use other materials, maybe other like innovative technology to use the rainwater in our advantage. I write a lot about technology, like the deep tech industry and like space technology. And I know there are, crazy technologies that could help us with the problems that we have here. In my preliminary research for this topic, I've already took some images of the projects that we have here that have, for example, green rooftops that can catch the water, or flood preventing projects around it. I've also included some of my written work that I did while covering the water management in our country, and also some other environmental issues. For example, the drought of the rivers in the summer that we had here, and stuff like that. So, thank you very much, and see you in June.
Hello, I'm Judith Ruprek. I'm a freelance photojournalist and documentary photographer from Hungary. In my current long-term project, I'm looking into a radical lifestyle experiment, people living in eco-communities. Though I'm aware that there are several works done on people living off-grid, but I'm not aware of any that looks deeply into lives of communities who live sustainably with almost no eco-footprints. These communities are founded by educated middle-class people who, as a response to the problems around us, like globalization, consumer culture, climate crisis, decided to move out of cities and live in villages or at the edge of villages and do sustainable farming with no chemicals used, relying on renewable resources in their land management and waste management also. And of course their main aim is to reconnect to nature, and they are proactive communities, so they not only see the problems surrounding us, but they are able to implement their good practices. So I think that everyone can learn from their achievements. And I connected them this February, and I'm working with 2 communities since this February, so I would like to show some excerpt of the work I have done so far.
What would they be?
These are 2 villages in Hungary. One is called Nyim, which is close to Lake Balaton, and the other is Nagyszékely, which is also not so far. And I would like to go on with this work, working at the same location with the same people in these 4 months. But I would like to produce a work which is which concentrates more on their achievements and what we can learn from them. I imagine the final photos as triptychs, where the first image shows the portrait of a community member, the second shows them during their work, and the third one shows the product of their work. And the text to accompany these images would look like a recipe. I would interview these people, and I would use their own words in the text about who they are, why they choose to live like this, and what tips they can give us to implement in our daily lives.
How did you come across these communities?
I heard of one of them, and I started to look deeper into them, and I found out there are like around 12 communities like this, but they are in Hungary, roughly 500 people. But also the number of the communities and the number of people are in constant change because it's a hard life to live, and some people give up.
Yeah. So my name is Diana Takachova, and I'm a photographer and visual storyteller whose work revolves around questions of identity and physical and emotional connection to place, migration, and also human relationship to nature and environment. In my work, I bridge various ways of storytelling, and I explore personal narratives in the topics I'm drawn to. Yes, I am a National Geographic Society grantee and a Slovak Press Photo awardee. As said, I'm currently based between Belgium and Slovakia, but feel at home in motion. And as it was already mentioned, I'm going to be starting a new project. Therefore, I'm showing an outline, and I'm showing images that are illustration of the visual language that I would envisage. And the main question of the project is, what will an ice cave become with climate change? The base of the project is documenting ice cover loss in Slovakia due to climate change, but also adaptation mechanism in a quest of preservation of what is to become of an ice cave. Bit of introduction, I think, maybe for those who are not so familiar. But caves, beside being a phenomenal natural site, they are also unique ecosystems that are pillars of ecological diversity and stability. They are source of water, have unique fauna and flora, and in many cases are historically connected to humans. Slovakia is such a great place to talk about caves, I think. There are about 7,500 caves and chasms documented in Slovakia. All of these are protected as natural monuments, and 15 of them are made accessible to the public. Now, these open to public caves belong to the real gems of Slovakia, and many of them are known not only across Europe, but even in the world. Ice caves are especially fascinating natural phenomena in Slovakia. So they occur mainly in mid and high mountain areas, and several of them are filled by ice only seasonally, that is during winter season to summer. Based on existing scientific data, 45 caves are permanently filled with ice, and 2 of these caves, the Obshinská Ice Cave and Demenovská Ice Cave, are open to public. Especially one of them, Demenovská Ice Cave, is experiencing huge losses of ice due to the previous weak winters, where the ice cover is not recovering in the summer period as much as it is decreasing in the winter. Located in the northern side of the Low Tatras, the Demenovská Ice Cave is part of the largest cave system in Slovakia, and that consists of 30 different caves. Here you can see the location. So Demenovská Ice Cave has been notable for the presence of permanent ice filling, massive shapes of underground spaces, and rare cave fauna, but also rich history. But due to the influence of global warming, the white filling of the cave has in 2021 reached the minimum for the last 70 years. And it has been also a transformation of the microclimate of the existing ice cave, which is a quite complex process, but basically it's based on forming a trap for cold air. So ice is currently only on the floor of the lowest part of the cave. There are also some mitigation measures. I think it's a quite complex thing that is going on there. But to quote the cave administrator Michal Lobczynski, so they installed Lexan to draw the cold air, and he says, we also use the plastic sheet for sealing. In the summer we want to prevent the inflow of warm air, but it can also be used in the winter when after a few frosty days the weather warms up. They are not panaceas, only crutches.
What's Lexan?
It's a material to, The issue, contemporary issue, is so prominent that it has been also added to the official website of the cave. This is part of the quote where it says, vertical ice forms cannot be found in the cave at present. You can still admire them in pictures in our souvenir shop. We keep hoping that better times will come and that we are not the ones of those last people to see the ice in the cave. Therefore, in my project, I hope to focus on these changes that are taking place, these mitigation measures, but also the transformation that is surrounding, well, so many invisible things that are happening also on the ground. Thank you.
Dobrý večer, volám sa Tomáš Predajňa. Narodil som sa v Skalici.
Sorry, he also, Thomas, is much appreciated because he lives in Switzerland, was planning to work in Switzerland and was willing to switch as well.
And you did not choose to have Polish photographers, Swiss and Hungarian things to complicate.
It was very confusing, but it worked out.
But thank you. Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah. Ďakujem. Narodil som sa v Skalici. Momentálne žijem vo Švýcarsku, kde sa dlhodobo venujem rapidnému topeniu alebo úbytku, miznutiu ľadovcov, ktoré je kritické.
Good evening. My name is Tomáš Predajňa. I was born in Skalica, but I currently live in Switzerland. And in Switzerland, I focus on the melting of the glaciers, which is really critical.
Fotografujem alebo snažím sa vyjadriť, ako sa človek svojim chovaním alebo svojim vlivom dokáže meniť veci okolo nás a hlavne prírodu a jej tvar.
In my photography, I focus on how man and human behavior changes the nature.
Od 90. rokov až do 2018 české lesy dokázali absorbovať 5% škodlivých emisí. Po roku 2018 sa totálne všetko zmenilo. Les prestal prijímať alebo absorbovať škodlivé emisie a začal emisie produkovať.
From the 1990s to 2018, the Czech forests absorbed approximately 5% of dangerous emissions. But after 2018, there was a huge change. The forests stopped absorbing emissions and they started producing them.
Hlavnou príčinou, prečo začali rapidne ubývať lesy, smrekové lesy v Českej republike, je kúrovec. Je to typ brúka, ktorý vlastne má rád teplo a sucho.
And the cause of the reduction of the forest in the Czech Republic is the bark beetle, which is a beetle that loves warm and also drought.
Až človek nezmení svoje chovanie, tak myslím si, že klimatická kríza zapričiní ešte oveľa väčšie katastrofy.
If humans do not change their behavior, I believe that they will cause many more catastrophes when it comes to the climate change.
To je všetko. Ďakujem vám.
And that's all from me. Thank you very much.
So, I will start with some kind of my personal feelings that when we are thinking about ecosystem, environment, and nature, we need to think about it as some kind of constellation with a lot of dots, and every dot is connected to each other, and after the dots are going to vanish, we are losing the connection, so everything is going to collapse, and this is what is happening right now with bees, with honeybees, because literally we are running out of the bees. And why this is important to me? I'm Tomek Stebinski, I'm from Poland, I live in Warsaw right now. I'm a photographer and a video editor. I'm working for the news industry. I like to be focusing in my work the environmental issues and our impact as a people on the nature. And I think it's also important for this topic that I was raised in a beekeeper's family. My grandfather was a beekeeper, my dad is also. So this is why I'm trying to deal with this topic. There are a lot of diseases, viruses, parasites that are making the population of the bees disappearing. It's getting higher and higher each year. In Big Short, there is some kind of problems like using pesticides, chemicals, not dealing with the diseases properly. So this is interesting because we know about the diseases since a very long time, about 100 years, and we are still not able to managing with it properly. So I'm going to investigate this topic more, and there is some kind of numbers. For example, in Poland we have a nationwide level of overall losses of the colony possible by year set at 10%. And after the winter season of 2020-2021, it was at the level of 14.3%. And a few years later, between 2015-16, it was 4.5%. So we can see how fast it's coming up. It's happened partly by beekeepers' mistakes, and because they are not paying a lot of attention and not caring as much as they should for the bees. So for the next few months, I'm going to renew contact with a scientist from Warsaw University of Life Science. Because the photographs you can see right now was taken at the laboratory at the University of Life Science in Warsaw some time ago, and I'm gonna doing some investigation. I hope I will see how the scientists are working with the problem. I will try to reach some contact for the beekeepers from the smallest apiaries on the biggest industrial ones also, just to find how they are they are dealing with the problem, because when it's very strategic for entire population and ecology, because when the bees are gone, we will be next in few years. So this is what I want to show.
Very strong sentence there. If we don't act right now, soon we won't act at all.
Yeah. So thank you.
So, welcome everyone again. My name is András Zoltai, and I'm going to talk about my memoir, actually. First, a few words about my practice. I've been working intensively abroad on environmental stories in India and on social stories in the Caucasus, but I just realized the need of do something at home and at my homeland. So my project is a blue memoir, actually. I just figured out the title, and what is it about? It's a project about relation to water, how we relate to water, because I think people think too obvious to have water. So I started to investigate this in the last 7-8 months, thanks to a national scholarship program, and thanks to actually to COVID too, because it changed my mind a little bit. So I think water is not for granted, and I was investigating this problem in deeper. Why is it important? Because, as I told you, water is the basic resource of life, so it's like really obvious. And what my research found out, that Hungary is much more exposed to the consequences of climate change in terms of water issues. So I started to research this. So some major facts about the water. The starting point of my project was water. This number, 94% to Hungarian water comes from abroad, which means we don't have inner water resources. So we are dependent on other countries' water. On the top of that, if there is a climate change and there is no rain and precipitation in the country, then it will cause drought and other impacts on people's life. So that caused the dry 7 months in the last century. So I started to travel around the country and photograph this issue. But why is it important for me? Just a side note, this is a photograph of my grandfather, who taught me for photography, and he's a doctor and an obsessed fisherman. So he was... No, it's just a photograph of my grandfather. He photographed rivers in his youth life. This photo is from 1957. And I also was born next to a river, so I'm really into this water topic. I go to bus every week and stuff, so I really connected to water. So that's why it means a lot to me, and that's why I feel the urgent need to show that we are blocked from our waters and we are not anymore connected, even in this city, even my city in Budapest, or even my small town in Szentes. So it's really important for me. That's why I started to work on this, and this is the body of work I've been working in the last 7-8 months. I was searching for really bizarre and absurd situations, because I felt this year was the most incredible year. I mean, I never saw such situations in my entire life. So I'm gonna show you some. So I was covering from drought, from irrigation, from fires, everything. So I was traveling by my car and was looking for countryside people who are affected by this problem, or how they adopt to this situation. And I consider this project not to be very photojournalistic, but more on a philosophical level, because I think we have to show different angles to understand this problem, and not just showing the consequences of the problem. Yeah. So, of course, I visited many lakes, thermal springs, and like everything that related to water, I was really obsessed by this, and still I am. So. So what am I going to do the next 3 months? It's going to be an interesting perspective because I haven't done anything during the winter time. So I would like to revisit these people. I know the locations. I have an excessive network, so to say, thanks to my summer fieldwork. And of course, I don't want to forget about the effects. I mean, there are many effects what we cannot see primarily, but it happens during winter too. So it's going to be interesting to see how they change their lifestyle, or what they changed, or what they not. I don't know. It will turn out. So yeah, and of course, if any extreme weather events will happen, I'll be there. Probably there will be some. And new regions I haven't covered because there are a lot. Hungary is a big country. I mean, if you want to go everywhere, it's really big. So, and yeah, I'd like to work more on the scientific data and the backgrounds because I feel I have a lack of the datas, and I'd like to add some extra info to the topic. And this is it. Thank you for your attention.
Hello everybody, my name is Rafał Siderski and I'm a visual artist born in Poland, based in Krakow now. I'm a student of the PhD in Institute of Creative Photography in Czech Republic, and I'm interested in climate crisis, nature and connection between humanity and inhumanity and of course nature. So why I think that the climate crisis is one of the most important issues now, because the water, especially the water, will be the topic of the future. Now we have really big problems with water, and we have starting to see the migration based on this water problem, and everything's, I think, it's going worse and worse and worse. And as you see on this page, Lawrence Buell said that the climate crisis is connected with imagination crisis, and that's what I think it's very important to find new way to talking about it, not only scientific data, not only this kind of speed, but also include some kind of poetry, include some kind of literature, and of course it's all connected with visual language. I want to show you just a few pictures from my past project, which I made with my partner Małgosia Lebda. It was based on the experience of running next to the Vistula River in Poland. She was a runner, I was a visual artist documenting it. She made 1,130 kilometers in 28 days, and based on this experience she made her poetry, and I made a visual representation of this experience being next to the river. So, when we was during this adventure, I just saw that there is a very important, that there is a big river, but very important are small rivers too. So I start thinking that I have one big narration, this Vistula one, so now I want to skip to the local narration. And the very working title of this project is The Source of the End of the River. And what I want to do, why? For the first point, 35% of Polish rivers drying out. These black lines you see on this map is the state from today, that showing the state of water is below the average. So you see how many rivers it's included. And Vistula River in this year, the biggest Polish river and one of the last wild rivers in Europe, was in the lower point in Poland during this summer, just 41 centimeter deep. So it's very, very, very low. And I know that hydrological system is connected. So that of small river is the beginning of dying of the biggest one.
I'm sorry, what was yellow?
The yellow is actually no data. There is problem with some data. And here, this closing up, it's to this small river I want to talk about in my future project. So this is just representation of visual language I use. And okay, what Żeleznikowy Potok is a small river. It's only 7.5 kilometers long. To compare, Vistula is more than 1,000 kilometers. And it's so part of Poland. You see it on the map. And it's going to Poprad next to Dunajec, and with Dunajec going to Vistula River, and then going to Baltic Sea. So as you see, it's all connected. If Żeleznikowy Potok start to being dry, next will be Poprad, then Dunaj will die, and at last Vistula will be dead too. And it's important for me too because it's connected to my family. My partner was born and lived for 20 years in this area, so I'm really connected with this project. And the last question is how. I want to use Żeleznikowy Potok as example of vanishing rivers. I strongly believe that we can show the big problem just using the small narration, and I think it's very good to show it to people that they are really close to this climate crisis. It's not the big monster somewhere in Asia or somewhere around, but it's just next to us. I want to connect to the focus on the river in its center, and when I say river, I think about riverbed, I think about shore, of course about inhuman beings lived with this river, not only it, but also with, and all vegetation around. I want to take pictures and make films to show how Polish hydrological system is connected with Żeleznikowy Potok and the local society, because it's very important to local society, these small rivers, because they going with the cows there just to drink the water, but also there is connected with memories from the childhood when they was a kid, they going just to have fun in this river. And I strongly believe that based on emotion and personal approach of audience, I can get to them maybe not more, but in the different way that I use scientific data, photojournalism style, and talking all around about the situation is bad and is going to be worse and worse and worse. So I just want to stimulate the imagination because, as I said at the beginning, I strongly believe that climate crisis is beginning in the crisis of our imagination. And this is 2 more pictures. And that's it. Thank you.
Good evening.
Still afternoon.
Afternoon. Yes. Firstly, I'm saying thank you to supporting this event, to the embassy and the NUR and the Slovak Press Photo and the great tutors and many of colleagues that helped to learn more about my themes. I am a Hungarian-based freelancer and independent photographer. I'm graduated as a photographer artist. Mostly I'm working on passive conflict zones. I get twice a scholarship fund to investigate the Greek Cypriot and Turkish Cypriot historical conflict. And last year, December, I started something new because I recognized that the climate crisis is the most important issue now, and the future is more, unfortunately. My series about the summer drought was finalist at the Slovak Press Photo this year. And I'm started a new session about the winter drought, how impact of the winter precipitation deficit on the Great Plain of Hungary. Why is important? Because 83% of the domestic vegetable production and fruit production comes from the Great Plain territory of Hungary, and approximately 1 to 7 meter groundwater drops on the Great Plain in the last few years, and it's has a negative impact to production, agriculture, and livestock keeper. Many of lakes has been dried, and a few facts and figures about the situation. At this moment, no data available currently to the number of permanently dry lakes and streams. So the damage is not calculable, unfortunately. Uncalculable currently how many birds and wild species missed from the last few years from this former very rich area. The impact of the drought is very wide, because this impacts the bird watchers, also the researchers, the farmers, and the livestock keepers also. And the latest climate model, because the latest climate model and the next few years till 2100, the 2/3 part of the Hungary will be a semi-desert. Yes, and this is how you see the steppe border zone, and the 2/3 part of Hungary. Many of empty lakes now in this area, and dramatically changed the local lives, like bird watchers, researchers also. And because the related of the food system is also, and the fishing is also an important part of this region. But if we have no water in the future, I think it will be a problem of the food systems, and I try to investigate how affect this very unfortunately situation, the locals and fishing and farming activities. This fall, I concentrate the fishing activities, and my plan is the next 3 months. I investigate how the summer drought affect and the winter drought affect also the farmers, the agriculture capability, and the livestock keepers also. This is a map. And this is very symbolic, because the Hungarian Great Plain territory here, and I investigated 2 location lake. One location is a Derzsi Lake, is a part of the Holtobágy lake system, and fed by the Nyírid river, that's called Tisza River. But unfortunately, the Tisza River water level is dropped year by year, and less year by year. And another location, the edge of the Hungarian Great Plain, is the Ladományi Lakes. The Ladományi Lakes has, to the next year, will be dry. And this year was the last fishing session, because has no possible to feed and support with water also. And approximately this territory is full of dried creek and lake system. So the situation is very dramatic. This is the first lake. And some facts of figures how affect the fishing activity, the drought. And this is the second lake. It is a very symbolic, because these small creeks feed this lake, but unfortunately, because the summer drought this year absolutely dried. This is the last fishing session anymore on this lake. The human aspect is very important me, So I'm concentrate and focusing mostly the humanitarian aspect of my series. And yes, my plan is for the next 3 months that I told I added some farmers, agricultures and livestock keepers also. I think it is very important because the winter drought is the road case of the summer drought also. Yes. Thank you for your attention.